Hello, welcome back to the Mommy Podcast. Today we're talking about relationships. We're talking about the change that takes place after you become a mother. And a lot of people wonder, how do your relationships change? You know, the first thing that comes to mind is, how does your personal relationship change with your spouse or partner after you both take on the new role of parents? And it's a massive change. There are also changes, though, that happen within yourself and within all of the other relationships that you have with the people around you. So, you know, your close friends pre-baby change, the relationships you have with your siblings and your parents, that also changes. So that's what we're getting into today, talking about the changes in relationships, tons of negativity, also a lot of positivity. So we're going to look at both ends and just talk about the realities of what to expect and what has been studied to happen when you become a mother and how your relationships change. Okay, so first, you will not have the time and the energy that you previously had before you had a baby. So think for a minute on how that can drastically impact your relationship. Well, you won't have the time and energy for yourself. So you obviously won't have the time and energy for your spouse or your partner in the same way that you previously had. So you definitely get into this change where you also start to focus more on the kids and you focus on their needs, and you forget at the end of the day that, you know, you are both just grown kids. You also have needs. And that can't be forgotten, but it definitely does get pushed aside when you first become a parent and you're navigating that change. So this is where it becomes ultra important to communicate and go through those changes in the most powerful way that you can, which is communication, and talking about, you know, these are the changes I'm noticing. This is what I'm feeling. How are you feeling? What changes are you noticing? And communicating about it. Now, I wanted to say all of that before I get into the research, because the research is super negative and depressing, and I tried hard to find positive publications and research articles on what happens to your relationships and how they change. Now, getting into the research, like I said, it's not all glitzy and fun. However, this is the reality, and there is some positivity at the end, so bear with me. Now, jumping into the research, Fortune did a study in 2018, a 30-year-long study with a winner of a title. This is why I picked this article, because it was funny and it caught my attention. It's hilarious. It had to go in here. So here we go. Decades of studies show what happens to marriages after having kids. Dash. Nowhere to go but down. Guys, what? I read that and was like, wait, what? So anyways, I clicked on it, read this whole article, and the preface of it says, you know, the biggest predictor of life happiness for an individual is one's satisfaction with their spouse. So that is your biggest predictor of life happiness. And it was marital satisfaction declines. However, your likelihood of divorce also declines. So having children may make you miserable. However, you'll be miserable together. Isn't that nice? So I wanted to throw that in there just because it made me laugh. It made me laugh because it's a funny title. It also made me laugh because it's a reality. You do end up having a decline in satisfaction in general terms with everything in life while you have a new baby coming in and you're a first-time parent and you're going, what? So, you know, maternal instincts, like it says, and then being who you were pre-baby and trying to find that blend. And a lot of people say, you know, you're always trying to get back to who you were pre-baby, or you're trying to, you know, oh, I want to do this because this is how I was before. Well, that is not the reality. You are moving into a new generation, a new level of yourself. And anyways, you have to leave that all behind. So you kind of have to leave that who you were pre-baby and learn that you are now a mother, and all of these new instincts and this new way of life is coming at you. And so your relationship with yourself, your understanding of yourself takes a huge change. And it's not something, I mean, I've never heard of that word before. I'd never heard of matrisense before doing this episode. So I wish someone had told me that it just makes so much sense to me. Yes, you go through a huge change, and that affects your relationship with yourself, which is ultra, ultra important. I'd say that relationship is the most important relationship in your entire life. And then it goes on from there to the relationship you have with your spouse. So, and then of course your kids, etc., etc. And I mean, who's to say which relationships are the most important on a level? But I think outside of the one with yourself, your relationships are also so important. So anyways, now getting into another article from Self 2017. This is just an article. This was not a publication, but this is by a lady named Jillian Kramer. She put together, these are 7 things that change in your intimate relationship with your spouse. This was looking at a whole bunch of women and saying, these are the 7 things that will change in your relationship. Well, the first thing that's going to change is baby sets the schedule. Yes. Next thing that's going to change is you have a loss of who you were as individuals and as a couple for a little while. Yes, definitely. You find it harder to be spontaneous. Yes, you have little quality time and you feel unsupported. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, not as much time for intimacy. 100%. Especially with brand new baby, like when baby is brand new, for sure, you're both getting like 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. Next, you're too tired for everything. Just blanket statement. You are too tired for everything. Yes. And the last thing, sometimes you forget about each other. I don't know about that one. I mean, I don't fully agree with that. I don't think you forget about each other, but you're definitely starting to go inwards. You focus more on your needs and you forget a little bit to focus more on someone else's needs. I can see that, but I don't think you forget about each other. So Jillian, don't agree with you on the last one. However, that was another article. Now I'm getting into some positives because you're probably listening to this episode saying like, what fresh hell makes me want to have a child if my relationship is going to change so drastically and terribly? Well, it's not all negative. Like I said, there is positive stuff. Really hard to find articles on it. I don't know. People maybe just like to look at the bad stuff, but getting into some positive. It is a beautiful, beautiful time to witness your person as a loving and caring, in my case, father. So watching him, you kind of get to see how your person was as a child. You get to see how they played. You get to see how they were. Like they get into a whole new sense of themselves that you would never otherwise see if they weren't a parent. So your relationship will change because I think that creates a deeper love and like a deeper appreciation and a deeper understanding of your person. So I think that's just amazing. Another positive is, you're going to think of your mom every single day as a daily thought of appreciation. And I do every single day. Your relationship with your mother will change tenfold. Even if you think you're close to your mom now, after you have children, your relationship drastically changes. And in my case, definitely for the positive. I was always close to my mom, but I never felt this connected to my mom as I do now after having 3 children, being able to connect with her as a mother as well, not just as a daughter. Now, your friends will quite quickly just become other moms. I noticed this. I do have some friends that weren't mothers and aren't mothers, and still being able to maintain a relationship, of course, but you're just not as close because your day to day is very different. So your relationships with your friends will definitely change. I noticed that with myself. My friends, a lot of them are also mothers, so that didn't change too much for me. But all of my new friends are mothers. It's not like I'm making friends with people that don't have kids at this point in my life. And I can't see that really changing until maybe my kids are older and have moved out. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, and the reason that I say that is it's because your relatability will drastically change to what you can relate to someone else in their life. And this also changes with siblings. I mean, I have 3 brothers that are all not fathers yet. And yes, it's a change because in your relationship, what you're talking about, what is relatable to you and what is Your reality is very different than what your siblings, in my case, what my siblings are doing right now. So your relationship changes. The stuff you talk about changes. That's just going to happen. Now, it is also really fun though to watch these these men as uncles, because you get to see them being mature in a different way. And they're mature, but just to see them as an uncle, it is so heartwarming. It's amazing when you get to see that in your own life. You grew up with these, kids, and your kids growing up figuring it out, then you're in your 20s, and you grow up to then see them as an uncle. I don't know. To me, that's a really fun, heartwarming time. Now, another thing, you get to see your parents with your grandkids. And you might be saying, yeah, obviously. Come on. No, what I mean is you get to see your parents with your kids, and you get to see how they were as parents, because you have a perspective of they were my mom and dad. But you don't get to see that stepping back. You don't get to be that person in the corner of the room just watching until you have your own children. And you get to see them interacting. You get to see them. It is so fun for me to see my mom and dad, because I see, this was them 30 years ago. This is what they were doing with myself and my brothers. And it is magic. Like I can't explain how much that relationship changes, because you see these new perspectives on seemingly someone you thought you knew everything about. To then get on to a last positive study. Guys, I had to search for this one. I had to dig deep to find something positive about how your relationships change. So the National Childbirth Trust, NCT, did put out guidelines in 2009 throughout to 2022, saying, what do you do about it? Your relationship is going to change. Yes. There are going to be challenges. Yes. This is a time of growth and development. Yes. What do you do about it? Communication. Number one. And I can't say that enough. Communication, blah, blah, blah. It is so important to talk, to not guess, to not assume, to talk. Communication, I think, is the basis for so many problems solved, for so many bases of calm and getting to the bottom of something. Communicate. Now, time together and time for yourself are recommended. So yes, it is important to carve out time for yourself. It is important to have time to have a bath, go for a walk, go do something that you enjoy doing just for yourself, because that definitely goes to the wayside after you have children. You do things for the kids, and then you do things for everybody else, and you completely forget to do things for you. Now, time together, definitely important as well, to carve out those date nights, to have time where even if the kids go down, then you guys spend an hour just hanging out, talking, communicating, doing something that you enjoy doing. Now, also, the last thing that they say is to develop wider relationships. So I guess I'm stepping on my own foot here. Is that the term? That wider relationships. Yes, your friends, your relationships should not just all be other moms, is what they're saying. I guess what I was saying is they are all other moms, but I'm guessing what I'm saying is a lot of them are other moms. But yes, you still have friends that are single. You still have friends that are married with no kids. You still have friends in different areas of their life. You have friends young and old. And having these wider relationships with different individuals is set to be, the path for having a happy life, having a sustained relationship with yourself and with others. So I went through a whole bunch in this episode. It is one that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I've actually recorded this one a few times, but it was so freaking negative and just blah. Like, I wouldn't even want to listen to all of the downer stuff. So I had to dig and I had to find some positive to put in here. And I mean, well, you heard it. There was just one article talking about the positives of what you could do. However, I will end it with this. I believe that you solidify a deeper self-love for yourself after you become a mother. Your relationship changes with yourself, and it changes deeply. And I am so proud of the relationship that I have with myself and how that has changed after having children. And I do feel like that deeper self-love also is a deeper love for your person that you are raising these kids with. It's a deeper understanding of them. It's a deeper appreciation and a deeper love. There are positives. There are positives after everything that I went through in this episode. So, thanks for joining me. I wanted to put this together for a while of how your relationships change because they change. And I mean, there's so many relationships. This episode could probably go on and on and on. And I hope it does. Maybe there'll be part 2, part 3, part 4, part 11. So thank you for joining me today. I really hope that whatever you're doing out there, wherever you are appreciating yourself and understanding that you are just kick ass. You're keeping people alive. You are raising humans. It's the best honor and the best job in the world as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for joining me. I will catch you here on the next episode next week. Have a great day. Bye.